Okay, we're going to leave halacha Shabbos for this week at least. There's a lot of dinim about Shavuot, even though Shavuot is very interesting. It's the only Yom Tov that doesn't have special dinim. Besides the laws of Yom Tov, you know, what you're allowed to do on the days of Yom Tov, but Sukkot has Sukkah, Lulav and Esrog, Pesach has an abundance of dinim. Shavuot, in fact, is basically, so at the time, it's interesting, in Lubavitch, in the city of Lubavitch, there was a minhag that the Rabbonim would all go to the city of Lubavitch, to the Rebbe for Shavuot. Pesach, they couldn't leave, there were too many halachic questions. Sukkot, they couldn't leave, there were too many halachic questions. So therefore, in fact, it's called Chag HaMatzos. Shavuot was called in Lubavitch Chag HaMatzos. Why matz? The word matz stands for Meir Tzedek. So Rabbonim were called matz. So because the Rabbonim came to the city of Lubavitch in Europe, they would call the Yom Tov of Shavuot Chag HaMatzos because the Rabbonim would come to the city of Lubavitch. But nevertheless, there's still, this whole sefer is just in Hilchos Shavuot. There's a lot of dinim of Yom Tov. But anyway, we'll just talk generally about the dinim of, because there's not only Shavuot, you have the lead up to Shavuot and the days after Shavuot. So number one, this Wednesday is Rosh Chodesh. Tuesday and Wednesday is Rosh Chodesh. So starting from Rosh Chodesh, for the next 12 days after Rosh Chodesh through Yud Bais Din, Chabad custom is we don't say Tachnun. A lot of people have a custom, they say Tachnun.
Just Monday.
What?
Tuesday night.
Is it Tuesday night, Wednesday?
That's what it said. Tuesday night.
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night and Wednesday. Stephen is one day to Rosh Chodesh. First of all, the Gemara says it's anyway one day. Secondly, we mentioned Rosh Chodesh yesterday and we said one day. If I made a mistake, I made a mistake. But Tuesday night and Wednesday is Rosh Chodesh. Okay. So Chabad custom is based on the Alter Rebbe's psak that we don't say Tachnun for the next 12 days, starting from Rosh Chodesh through the 12th day. A lot of people have a minhag. You go to other shows, they'll have a minhag. Also, from the first day of Rosh Chodesh through Shavuot, you don't say, 6th and 7th. And the 8th day is Isru Chag. You also don't say Tachnun. But starting from the 9th, they'll say Tachnun again. But our custom, the Alter Rebbe, is not Kabbalah. I mean, it's just halacha issue. Why don't we say Tachnun for the first 12 days of Sivan? First day is Rosh Chodesh. Second day, the Gemara in Shabbos goes through the first 7 days of the month, what happened. The second day of the month, if you look in Parshas Yisrei, Hashem said to the Jews, Ba'atem tihiyuli mamlechas kohanim v'goy kodesh. You're going to be a nation of kohanim and a goy kodesh, a holy nation. So that's called in the Gemara, in halacha, Yom HaMeyuchas. The day that Hashem gave us the yichus, the identity that we're his mamlechas kohanim and goy kodesh. By the way, it's another, in Derech HaChavga, it's a very interesting thing. According to the Arizal, a neshama has to keep coming down again and again and again until they keep all 613 mitzvahs. Okay, the Arizal says all neshamas have to learn all parts of Torah, they have to keep all 613 mitzvahs. So, but sometimes you have certain mitzvahs that you can't keep. In other words, we can't keep the mitzvahs in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. So we are reincarnations of the neshamas that did. In other words. But there's a few mitzvahs that you can't have a neshama coming down that many times. For instance, the mitzvahs of a king. There are mitzvahs, a lot of mitzvahs that apply only to a king. Now, not every Jew can fulfill that, become a king. I mean, even if, there's a lot of neshamas, there's only one king. So you can't have all neshama. For that matter, even koyanim. Koyanim also, there's a certain amount of koyanim. You can't have every neshama coming down as a kohen. Eventually, it doesn't work. So the answer is, according to Kabbalah, the king fulfills that obligation of the king, the mitzvahs of the king does for all the neshamas. The mitzvahs of the koyanim do for all neshamas. But in order to be a shliach for somebody, you have to have a connection to the person, to that mitzvah, to be able to be a shliach. So it says, that's why when Hashem said, Mamlechas Kohanim, that every Jew is Mamlechas Kohanim, so every Jew is a melech, and every Jew is a Kohen. So therefore, we all have a connection to Melech and Kohen. So therefore, the Melech can do the mitzvahs for all the Jews, and the Kohen can do the mitzvahs for all the Jews. So the second day of Sivan is known as Yom HaMilchas, a very special day, no Tachna. Then we start what's called Shleishi Simei Hagbola, the 3 preparatory days for Shavuot. That's when Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, Hagbel Esa'ar V'Kidashti, 3 days to separate themselves from the wives, stay away from the mountain. It was days of preparing for Matan Torah. So therefore, halachically, everybody says you don't say Tachton. That's the preparation, mamish, for Matan Torah. Then you have 2 days Shavuos outside of Eretz Yisrael, and then you have the day after Shavuos is Yisroel Chag. Now, but then we don't say Tachton until the 12th. Why not until the 12th? So the din is like this. In the time of the Bais Hamikdash, everybody had to come to the 3 regalim, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. There was a chiyuv, what's called Eilah Regel. Every Jew had to go up to the Bais Hamikdash to bring korbanos. They had to bring a korban Eilah, korban Shlomim. There was a lot of korbanos. So there's a lot of people, and the Bais Hamikdash was limited. So the din was that Pesach and Shavuos, they had all 7 days to bring the korban. Besides Yom Tov, but all the other days, Chol HaMoed, everybody had an opportunity to bring the korban. They couldn't do it before, they did it during. Shavuos, in the time of the Bais Hamikdash, is 1 day. So how did they have all the people having the chance to bring korbanos? You can't bring all the Jews korbanos in 1 day. It's impossible. So therefore, the Gemara says they were given... Yeah, but that was 1 animal for who knows how many people. The only 30 korban pesach per group. There are 3 groups. It was 90 korban pesach. I don't know, it doesn't make... But that's what the Gemara says. There were only 3 groups sitting... Because 1 korban pesach, every person had... Think about it. Every person had a kazayas from the korban pesach. Okay? So how much meat is a good sheep? I don't know what it weighs. Taking away everything. But how many pounds of meat? You have a lot of meat.
Pounds.
A lamb? A lamb? A cow maybe is... Even a cow doesn't weigh tons.
Adding them all.
I understand, but I'm saying, but so... Okay, but the bottom line is, Shavuos, how did everybody bring a korban? So the Gemara says they were given Shivas Yemei HaTashlumim. They were given the 7 days to make up. So Torah said... For 7, that's like Pesach had 7 days. Sukkot had 7 days. Shemini says it's a separate Yom Tov. So just like they had 7 days, so therefore Shavuos also has 7 days for all the Jews to bring the korbanos. So because it was part of the extension of Shavuos. So the Alter Rebbe holds, but not only the Alter Rebbe, a lot of poskim hold, that therefore you don't say Tachton through the 12th. But if you go into a shul that says Tachton starting on the 9th, don't get nervous because they say Tachton after the 9th. We don't say Tachton until the 12th. So that's as far as Tachnun goes. Now, other things about, also you're not allowed to fast in the first 12 days, or at least until after Shavuos, even Yisroel Chag, you're not allowed to fast, except a chosin, if he gets married, then he does fast, but not on Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh, Sivan, they don't fast.
You have to make it up.
The minig is, if you don't fast on Rosh Chodesh, you make it up either before, the day before, or 2 days before, or after. If you can, you try to make it up. That's if they, because Rosh Chodesh, you're not allowed to fast. Some people have a minhag, Chas and Kala don't fast any day that there's no Tachnun. But the pearl, our minhag is, not only our minhag, it's a lot of, it's a machlekes and a different kind of machlekes, different customs. Our custom is that even days we don't say Tachnun. If it's a minig not to say Tachnun, then you do fast. Chas and Kala do fast. Okay, so then you have like this. So now, the days, the minig of Sfira, all the laws of Sfira So'emer, that those people that, okay, Sfardim stop after Lag Ba'omer. A lot of people stop after Lag Ba'omer. But those people that continue according to the Arizal, that you keep the Sfira through until Shavuos. So nevertheless, starting from Shleishis Yemei Hagbala, so this year, Rosh Chodesh is Wednesday. So Beis is Thursday. That's not Shleishis Yemei Hagbala. Shleishis Yemei Hagbala this year is Friday, Shabbos, and Sunday. The 3 days right because Sunday night Shavuos. So the 3 Yishayshis Mi'agbala is Thursday night, Friday, Shabbos, and Sunday. So according to halacha, basically the laws of Svira fall off. People make weddings. Some people even make weddings halachically starting from Rosh Chodesh Sivan. They already make weddings. Not everybody agrees with that, but the minhag today, more and more places, they're making weddings starting from Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Shleishes Mi'agbala, basically people already listen to music, even those that didn't listen the whole time. You can go downstairs. Oh, okay. Hi. Huh? Yeah, very much. But Chabad, so technically, this coming Thursday night, halachically, after nightfall, you'd be allowed to take haircuts. But Chabad custom, the Rebbe Rashab is very strong that we should not take haircuts until Erev Shavuos, which this year would be Sunday, or Saturday night after Shabbos is over. So Saturday night and Sunday we would take haircuts. But halachically, you could take already from Shleishes Mi'agbala, the 3 days. This year would be starting Thursday night, Friday, Shabbos you can, but Sunday. That's as far as getting the days before Shavuos. But again, as far as the days, the minhagim of Svira, usually besides haircuts, the custom Shleishes Mi'agbala, you can listen to music already, according to all opinions. You can, take haircuts and all that. Another thing is that people should, and coming on inside, one more thing. This Shabbos is Parshas Bamidbar. The Gemara says, La'elam Kedem Parshas Bamidbar Kedem Atzeres. You always read Parshas Bamidbar before Shavuos. The Gemara says you read Parshas Nitzavim before Rosh Hashanah, and you read Parshas Bamidbar before Shavuos. Why do we make dafka to have Parshas Bamidbar and Parshas Nitzavim before Rosh Hashanah? So it says, we just read the Teichacha this week. So we don't want to go straight from the hidden brachas, so to speak, or the curses, straight into Shavuos. So therefore the halach is, the Gemara says, you read Parshas Bamidbar to make a break between the curses of the Teichacha, or hidden blessings, and the Yom Tov Shavuos. The same thing, Parshas Kisavai is again the longer Teichacha even than Parshas B'chukei Isai. We don't want to go straight from the Teichacha into Rosh Hashanah, so therefore we make sure to break it with Nitzavim and Nitzavim Vayelach before Rosh Hashanah. That's what we do that. Now, when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, it says you're supposed to preferably go to mikvah, take a shower and get ready for Yom Tov in all ways as possible. Now, the first night of Shavuos, which this year is Sunday night, it says in halacha, it's a big argument in halacha, but you're not supposed to daven Ma'ariv early, even though let's say Friday night you could bring Yom Tov in early. Pesach you could bring Yom Tov in early, you just can't start the Seder until night. Or Sukkot you could bring in the Yom Tov early, but you can't eat in the Sukkah until night. But nevertheless, Shavuos, you can't bring in my Shavuos early. Why not? Because the 49 days Sfiras of Eimet says, Tmimais Tihiyana. These should be complete days. If you take in Yom Tov earlier, you're knocking off 2 hours or so from the completeness of Sfiras Eimet. There are opinions in halacha, by the way, that say you could daven Ma'ariv earlier, you just can't make Kiddush earlier. So a lot of poskim hold, it's not Ma'ariv that you can't daven early, you can daven Ma'ariv early, but you can't do Kiddush early. But the Alter Rebbe clearly says, and this is what we hold, that you can't daven Ma'ariv early, you have to wait mamish until Tzeisek Chavim. To wait until nightfall to be able to daven Ma'ariv. Okay, and then you have the meal, whatever. So now, the minhag is, just started, the minhag is that the first night of Shavuos, some people stay up both nights, by the way. Not nowadays so much, but years ago, there were chassidim that used to be up both nights, and they would say Tikkun Leil Shavuos both nights. But the bro today, one's enough, like they say. But there's a minhag of staying up the night of Shavuos. Why is it? Because the night before Matan Torah, the Jews went to sleep. They went to Chabad. They went to sleep. To the extent, there's a medrash that Shina Shalatzeres Areva, not only that, they had a beautiful sleep. Areva means it was a sweet, the medrash says the mosquitoes didn't bite them, nobody bothered them, they had a beautiful sleep. Hashem came in the morning, early in the morning, to give the Torah. And as the pasuk says, Madua basi ve'ein ish, karasi ve'ein ona. I have come, there's nobody around, nobody's home, they're all sleeping. I'm calling, hey guys. So because of that, to rectify what they did, so therefore we have to stay up the whole night of Shavuos to rectify the fact that they went to sleep before Matan Torah. We'll discuss how is it possible that the Jews were so excited about Matan Torah. Why in the world did they go to sleep? To be continued.